It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. So today we're going to have a quick look at the Razer PBT keycap upgrade set. So the backstory on this is that my brother likes to buy a whole bunch of stuff off the internet at random, including returned goods and things like that, refurbished and things like that. And he recently picked himself up a mechanical keyboard and started looking at upgrading bits and pieces. And he got this box that I'm about to pan down to, which was a returned set of keycaps. So I don't know why this was returned. He doesn't know why it's returned. It doesn't matter. The box isn't sealed, but he thought he'd just send it to me to get a review of it first before he went and did anything else with it. So I don't know how much one of these costs. It's not something that I ever would have gone out and bought myself. So it's cool that my brother was kind enough to send this for me to check it out. So this is actually the Mercury White, despite the fact that the graphics here that they've got on it is the black on it. So it says it's superior PBT, double shot molding with ultra thin font, fits most mechanical and optical keyboards. So the thing that we have to be careful about here on that statement is it has to be the MX stem type for this key set. Okay, so it's not going to fit your low profile chock switches or your Mateus Alp style switches, right? What is nice is that it does show on the side of this a complete set of what is in the box, and I do find it really cool and interesting that it comes with the stabilizers. I mean, coming with a key ring style puller, it's pretty standard in a lot of OEM sets, but the fact that it actually comes with replacement stabilizers, and if you look at it, it's got co-star inserts there as well, is really cool. It's really interesting. So the back of it just gives you a bit more info about the double shotting, and then some different language, and then just standard Razer stuff. So the box is quite neat. I think it's well presented, well packaged. Sounds like it's got, plastic holding. You can hear it rattling around, but it's not loose. And it's got a nice sort of fabric hanger there as well, rather than that sort of traditional rigid plastic type of stuff that tends to rip off the top of boxes. So let's have a look inside. It says for gamers, by gamers, which is kind of their tagline. And there we go. So we've got a couple of trays. We've got 4 trays for a 120 key set, I think. Is that what it says? 120 keys? It says 120 right there. 120 Razer PBT keycaps. Now this video is not sponsored by Razer. And it's not sponsored by my brother either. Certainly not paying me, and I'm not keeping these. Okay, so there's nothing else in the box except for a bit of manual paper. So, can you not please? Daddy is filming a video. If you don't have anything else to do, go have your afternoon tea, miss. You don't need to be here. Go on. Alright, so it tells you about a US layout. So that's the ANSI, and it tells you UK US layout with Razer bottom row, US UK layout with the standard bottom row. So that's cool. It actually gives you the different changes for the different layouts, US versus UK. Now it also tells you about using the puller and using the different stabilizers. So the opticals use those plug-in inserts, whereas the mechanicals are using the co-star. So that's cool. I didn't realize that. Push the PBT keycap in place. And then it's just got a bunch of info which is not really super relevant. Okay, so let's just tuck that in and out of the way. Alright, so we have, there's the stabilizers, opticals and mechanicals, which, it's clear on the back, so you can see the wires and the little co-star inserts, and then a whole bunch of the straight plug-in type of inserts for the opticals. There's the classic ring pull type of keycap puller, and there's the other half. That I guess that's the UK compatibility kit there. Different space bar. There's the ISO, enter. There's the 3 with the pound sign on it. And that is the rest of the set. So it's really interesting. How have they done this? They've kind of done it by row. There we go. So you can see it goes from escape all the way through the F keys, print screen, scroll, lock, pause, and then the second row with the num, backspace, and then of course into the navigation block and the top of the numpad, onto the next row. And then of course you've got your QWERTY and so on and so forth. Now I will need to open up one of these, I guess, to check it out a little bit more detail, but let's see what we can see on the back here. I guess the first thing that strikes me is the quality of the demolding is very interesting. So you can see it through the plastic. I don't know if the reflection's going to kill it, but a lot of the actual sprue removal is not very good. Bit of dust and hair there. Apologies for that. But if you have a look at it, there's a lot of marks. The bottom of these keycaps are kind of not very well finished. In every one of these keycaps, we can see the sprue markings. They've just, you know, rushed clipping them off the sprue. Like look at this one. I mean that one right there, if it'll focus. There we go. You can see how many bits of actual sprue is there. As a matter of fact, that's the escape key. We'll have a look at the escape key. Just having a look at the rest of these, is it the same? Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. They are consistently on every keycap. The sprue marks are just very poorly dealt with. Very poorly dealt with. Alright, so let's find a way to pop these open. Without exploding them everywhere. Okay. Alright, so let's lift up. I do like the packaging. I think the packaging is really neat here. They've done quite well in terms of the molded tops, which hold them in place nicely so they don't really rattle around and they won't scratch. And then the actual base has a little well for the stem to keep them in place as well. Okay, so here is the escape key without that plastic. And it's the light and the focus is probably a bit too shiny for it. So let's see if we can just there we go. Okay, so you can see that along there's 3. Why does it need 3 sprue marks all on the same edge here on how they shotted this? I mean, I suppose it is technically double shot, but that is like, they didn't clean it up. They could have just taken some time with like a flatbed type of linisher, you know, polishing thing, and they could have just, and then it would have cut all of that. It would have just polished all of that nice and smooth and flat, and it would have finished it really, really nicely. But they haven't, and it just sticks out. Now, I know it's on the underside of the keycap. You're not going to see it. It's probably not really going to affect anything at all, except it's just that finishing touch, right? That makes a good keycap set a great keycap set, and the level of QC and quality control. Now, maybe this is the reason why somebody sent this set back, and other sets aren't like this. Unfortunately, I don't have other sets, so I can't comment about that. But that's what I'm seeing here. In terms of everything else, it's fine. The actual double shot, the PBT, the texture, it's pretty nice. It's pretty standard. So let's try and get that into focus. You know, it's very sharp, very clean. No issues there whatsoever. Using my good old calipers, we'll have a look at how thick this is. we are looking at just on 1.5, just under 1.5, just over 1. So that the actual sidewall is just a fraction over 1 mil, but not to 1.5, whereas the front wall is just under 1.5, but definitely over. So probably around 125 maybe. Once again, maybe a 125-ish, and closer to 1 than a 125. So they're not thin, they're not ultra thin, they're not at a 1 mil or lower than 1 mil, but they're also not at a thick sort of 1.5 mil interior on those walls. The stem, it's well formed, it's nice and round, no real other visible issues. So what I have got here is I've just got one of my macro pads handy with some Gateron reds. I'll just pop that on the corner and see how well that fits. Ooh, that is snug. That is snug. It's definitely not going anywhere, and yeah, like, it is very, very snug. So that's a good thing. Comes off pretty clean. No issues whatsoever there on that Gateron red. And then on my cream switch here, so this is the Novel Keys Cross Kale cream switch. That was also quite snug. Yeah, good fit, good fit. I'm pretty happy with that fit. And well, it's double shot PBT for the purposes of shine through. So, you know, to give you, I suppose, a relative look at what shine through looks like, I'm just going to use my phone torch, since I'm not going to bother with putting it onto a keycap set. So let's just turn off the light there. Wow, okay, so that's saturating. The camera's not doing very well on that, but I will say that it is shining through just fine. It shines through just fine. There is a bit of bleed on the side. Actually, I wonder if I can change the camera controls on the fly here and turn off the white balance and gain on this. Exposure, we will apply an OK. Alright. There we go. Right, so let's just turn the light off. There we go. Okay, so I mean, that is with the torch feature on my phone, which is really bright, but you can see that the actual sides, the evenness of the light bleeding through it's not super fantastic. I mean, this front corner here is actually really dark. It's really thick. So that kind of correlates a bit somewhat to the issue about the wall thickness and how the shot frame is done internally, but you can kind of see that it will give you a bit of inconsistent light bleed through that when you do have your RGB on. Okay. Torch in the face. So, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Well, I do like them for what they are if they come at an affordable price range. I don't know how much my brother paid for these. I don't know how much they normally retail for. But in terms of their build quality, like, they look like OEM profile. So, you know, I'm not really a huge fan of OEM profile these days because I use other profiles, and some of the other profiles are nicer for personal taste, of course. But if I was going to be buying one, you know, comparable to sets like Tie House sets, which are typically around $30, this is actually a good thickness, a good stem hold, good shotting for the shine through. The only things that kind of let it down is just that it's inconsistent with the thickness walls and the sprue marks. They really could have fixed it up. I'd be happy to say for a, you know, OEM profile, that type of keycap set, this is a 7. This is a 7.5. All of that comes into play because of really good packaging that holds it nice together, good presentation, and the fact that the kit actually comes with the spare stabilizers too. Co-Star stabilizers are a real pain to get hold of if you need them, and for them to actually provide that in that set is worth that value too. Alright, well that's it. I'm going to pack these back up and I will get them back to my brother so he can enjoy them on his keyboard, since these will not go onto mine. I don't really have a desire for these to go onto mine. And then yeah, we'll see how he goes with his keyboard journey into the future as well. He did get those pudding keycaps that I reviewed ages ago as well for his keyboard, but I don't know how he's going with the puddings or if he's going to switch to these. Well, thank you very much for coming along and checking out this video. If you enjoyed this and the way that I review stuff like this, please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, of course, the subscription to this channel would be really appreciated. And if you got comments about maybe, you know, how your experiences are with this keycap set, or what the price is like, and if you know that what I'm seeing here with the sprue marks is actually inconsistent and that's not what other sets are like, then let me know. Let other people know who might check out this video, and that way they can make up their minds themselves on whether if this is a good set or not for them to have, to get. Now, is there a way that this fits? Yeah, okay, it has to fit that particular way. So, thank you again for coming along, checking out this video, and of course, as usual, until next time, happy clacking.